Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, welcome to our RBT study group. I'm so excited. We're going to start from the A task list. So today we're going to go over the A task list, which is all about, let me see how I switch this. Measurement. So measurement, the 6 items that you guys need to know from the A task list is how to prepare for data collection, how to implement continuous measurement procedures, how to implement discontinuous measurement procedures, implement permanent product recording procedures, enter data and update graphs, and describe behavior and environment in observable and measurable terms. So we'll just go through it and then we'll just talk it out. And then we can go over some quiz questions. Okay. So A1, preparing for data collection. So basically as an RBT, data collection involves identifying target behaviors, understanding what happened in previous sessions, and collecting data on the target behavior. So we need to know, first of all, what behaviors you're tracking. So as soon as you go into your session, you're going to want to know what behaviors you're tracking because behaviors occur always, right? And then you're going to want to review what happened in the previous session. So what prompts were used? If he can complete the target behavior with a gesture prompt, there's no need for me to do like a full physical or based off of the previous data collection. So there's ways that you guys can review that and make sure that you know the client skill level and collect data on the target behavior. So it's important that we know how and what data collection method they're using. Eric, if you ever want to add anything, let me know. How did you make that background?
Just changed it.
Oh, I did it. Ooh, that's so fancy. I want to go to San Francisco. Okay. So the next one, A2, implementing continuous measurement procedures. So Eric, what's continuous measurement? What does that mean?
That is when you continue to take measurement throughout your whole session, throughout the whole sessions. And yeah, keep going.
So they're recording data for every instance of the behavior. So every time it happens, we're taking data in some method, some way, shape, or form. So the different methods of continuous measurement, you guys might have questions that'll ask you, what are the different continuous methods, or which one is an example of a continuous measurement? And it's going to be frequency, rate, duration, IRT, and latency. So frequency is when we take data on every time the behavior occurs. We can take a tally, we can take a count, and then you also have rate. Rate is very similar to frequency. The only difference is that they're taking data over time. The reason why they do that is that they might be observing the client in different increments of time. So if Eric was observing the client for 30 minutes, and then I observe the client for 8 hours, Eric's data is going to be drastically different than my data. So that's why we take rate. We're going to take a percentage. So we're going to take the frequency over time and get a percentage. Okay, little Billy engaged in the behavior 50% of Selena's session and 30% of Eric's session. And that way it makes a little bit more sense and the graphs don't look crazy. And then you have duration. Duration wants to know how long a behavior occurs. And you guys are gonna see questions on the RBT exam that talks about onset, offset. So onset and offset. Onset is just telling you at what time to begin recording data. So the onset definition might say, client must be engaged in the behavior for 3 seconds in order for you to begin to collect data. So that's going to be onset. So if you see a question on the RBT exam about onset, it's like, when am I going to start to collect this data? That's your onset. Offset is when do we stop? So you'll see that a lot in duration. IRT and latency, those are some that we don't really see a lot, or that we don't really talk about a lot. So people might miss those on the exam because we don't talk about IRT and latency in our everyday RBT day, right? So latency is the amount of time, or the time between the SD and the actual behavior, right? So that's going to be your latency. So let's say you guys give Selena a math worksheet. We're like, okay, Selena, do math. But she sits there for like 30 seconds before she begins her math worksheet. That's going to be the latency, the time that it took her to actually begin doing what it was I told her to do. IRT is inter-response time. You want to explain IRT?
Yeah. So IRT is when it takes you to finish one assignment and start another. So you are given a math assignment to do, maybe 2 questions. Now you do the first one and you take a pause. Then you start the second one. That pause in between is what IRT is. So it's that time you took that pause and starting another one. That is what is known as inter-response time.
Yeah, so you guys might see a question about IRT, and I don't know if they're gonna ask you for like the exact math of IRT. I don't know if that's like a BCBA thing. Can I use a pen? Okay, so let's say you gave Selena a math worksheet and it took her, oh yeah, okay. It took her 30 seconds to start, right? So that's gonna be the latency. So it took Selena 30 seconds to start her assignment. And then she worked on her assignment. Let's say she was working on her first math worksheet and she worked on it for 5 minutes, right? So she's actually working on it for this amount of time. And then she's done. She's done with her math worksheet. So she's gonna take a little breather. So this is gonna be her little break. So this is 2 minutes, 2-minute break. And then she's like, okay, I got another math worksheet. So she starts the next math worksheet. So the IRT is going to be this right here. So what's the IRT in this situation? Eric, you can answer.
The 2 minutes?
Yeah, so the 2 minutes is gonna be my IRT. So the time between this behavior and this behavior, or this response, this response. Okay. So A3 is about knowing discontinuous measurement. So remember, discontinuous measurement, I like to explain and give you guys a rationale as to why would we take discontinuous measurement? So remember, continuous measurement is when we record every instance of the behavior. Discontinuous measurement, we're not going to get every instance of the behavior. And the reason why we would do that is because the behavior might occur way too often. So the example I always give is like the hand flapping or something. So client is engaging in a ton of hand flapping. So if I was going to record every single instance that client engaged in hand flapping, I would just be there all day with the clicker. Click, 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 click. And I wouldn't have any time to do anything else. So what they do is they're like, okay, we're going to take data as a discontinuous measurement instead. And so the different types of discontinuous measurements are going to be your whole, your partial, and your momentary. And those are going to be your time samples. So for whole interval recording, they want to know, did the behavior occur for the entire interval? So for whole interval, I just think, did it occur for the whole time? Whole interval equals hold time. Partial interval, they want to know, did the behavior occur at any moment in that interval? Yes or no? And then you have momentary time sample. For momentary, I always think of moments. So did the behavior occur at the moment of the beep? Yes or no? And you'll record data whether it did or whether it didn't. If the behavior did not occur, you still have to take the data. So it'll be an X or a 0, I don't know, however you guys are taking your data. Do you want to add anything, Eric?
Yeah, so when you're taking your interval, when you're doing your interval recording, let's remember that when we talk of interval, we are talking of time, like for a certain amount of time. So normally it could be for 30 seconds. You could set your timer for 30 seconds. You could set your timer for a minute. So for whole interval, for you to record that the behavior actually happened, the behavior have to happen for the whole 1 minute. Now, if the behavior happens for 59 seconds, you're not going to record that it happened. It has to be for the whole minute. Now, for partial interval, even if the behavior happens for, out of the 1 minute, it happened for 2 seconds, you're going to record that the behavior happens. And for momentary time sampling, just like Selena explained, you want to make sure that at that moment, the timer the timer goes off, and you look at what the student or the client is doing. That is what you're recording, what the client is doing at that particular moment.
Yeah, perfect. Does anybody have any questions or want to add anything? We're going through the A and then we're going to go through some questions. Okay.
So I'm saying, I'm just going to add one thing. So in the partial and whole and momentary, we don't record the time. We say yes or no.
Yes,
happen,
occurrences.
no happen. Yeah, so just wanted to add that.
Yeah,
perfect. To be clear.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so we have A4, and we don't really talk about this too much like in the field either. So this is another one that the RBTs really struggle on, is permanent product recording. So permanent product is where the behavior leaves some lasting like footprint behind where we can actually count it. So a measurable product that results from the occurrence of a behavior. So an example of a permanent product can be like the number of worksheets that he completed, the number of clothing items that he folded. And so that's how we can take our data. You can take data, so this is just something that you're taking data after the fact. So not exactly in that moment, you don't have to be observing them. It's after the fact, you're just counting something. So permanent product is leaving something behind. So kind of like they're like a fossil, right? They left that behind many years ago. We can go dig it up. That's our permanent product. We know that dinosaurs ruled the earth or whatever it is from that permanent product.
So when I was studying to become an RBT, the thing that actually got me to really understand this was when my BCBA then said, if your mom comes in the morning in your room and says, Eric, I'm going to the office, I want you to make your bed, and she leaves, the only way she can know if you made your bed is when she comes back home, goes to the room and see that the bed is made. That is the only way she can know, you made your bed. So that is an example of permanent product. She wasn't there to observe me making the bed or anything, but when she came back, she went to look at the room to see if the bed was made.
Yes, perfect. Okay, next one. Enter data and update. Entering data and updating graphs. So RBTs might be asked to graph data that's taken during your session. So we use Central Reach, and so it graphs everything for you, but you just have to know how to graph things, what a graph looks like, how to interpret a graph. So if you look and you see that the line is going up, 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 that means that your trend is increasing. If you see that your line is going down, 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 that means your trend is going down. Or what do they call it? Ascending.
Ascending and descending.
Ascending is going up. And if you see the line going down, it's descending. So you might see those words on the exam as well. And the most common graph in ABA is the line graph. So that might be a question. What is the most common graph in ABA? The answer will be line graph. Okay, so that is all of the A content. We kind of talked it out. And now I have some questions that I found online. And so we can look at those. Hold on, let me get them just a second. If you want to talk, Eric, you can. I'm going to get the page up.
If there's a question, just wait. Does anyone have a question?
No, not right now. Everything sounds straightforward so far.
Come again? Is it me?
I was asking her if it's like, since it's recorded, like is she gonna repost it, like the study group?
Yeah, so they have been asking me if I could post it, so that's why I was recording it.
Okay, yeah.
So that way you guys can review it if you want to.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's
do you guys see the questions?
Yep.
Okay.
I see him, yeah.
Okay, everybody can take turns. You can, I don't know, you can raise your hand or you can just shout it out, whatever you want. Okay, so this is questions regarding A. So we'll see if there's anything that we need to go over again after we go through some questions. So for this question, it says, what type of data collection does this describe? Samantha collected the number of times Edward slapped the table over 3 separate 1-hour observations. Afterwards, she calculated the number of times Edward slapped the table per hour. Is this an example of total count, duration, frequency, or rate?
I would say frequency.
It says she calculated the total number of time Edward slapped
Is
the
it-
table per hour.
Is it total count?
No, wait, did y'all hear my frequency answer? I don't know if I was.
Yeah, I had frequency, but I'm saying the question says collected total number of time Edward slapped the table over 3 separate 1-hour observation period. After she
So it's
calculated
total count.
total number of Edward's slap per hour.
Yeah, so remember when we talked about which one is the one that's over time?
So rate is frequency over time. So you have to be like really careful on the questions.
Yeah, so this one, since it's saying the total, it's gonna be rate. So the total number of times.
Dang it, I know it's right. Sorry.
So the total number of times that he slapped the table. So we're taking a frequency, so that's correct. But then they're giving you a time period. They're like, she calculated the total number of times that he did it per hour. So if you see them taking a frequency and also taking into account the time of the session, then it's gonna be rate. Because remember we said frequency over time is rate.
Yeah, okay, so that's why it was, you know, number of times. That's what got me. Which is why I said
Okay.
frequency, because I'm thinking of time only.
Yeah, frequency was good because they were taking a frequency, but then the key point was the per hour part.
And that was why I didn't tell her she was wrong. Because I knew that was why I didn't tell her she was wrong. Because she was halfway there.
Yeah, she was halfway right.
Okay, I'll take halfway.
Which of the following is an advantage of taking rate data collection? Less resource intensive than continuous data collection, provides us with some notion of how long in seconds, minutes, or hours the behavior has occurred for, allows us to directly compare behavior when the observation period might vary in length, reliably measures the intensity of a given behavior.
The only reason I'm driving, so still driving. Dang it. But hold on. Right, provides us with the notion. I'm thinking allows us to directly compare behavior. Oh. Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's such a question. I would naturally say B, the provide.
Okay, so let's
No,
look it up.
hold on. Mr. Deshante, what do you think?
I was looking at C actually.
Yeah, C sounds good too.
Yes, C looks pretty good to me because remember we talked about how Eric might be observing the behavior for 30 minutes and Selena might be observing the behavior for 8 hours. So we're gonna observe a drastic difference in data. So rate is cool because it allows us to compare the behavior when the observation times vary. So in a perfect world, if we all took data for the same amount of time, then that would be cool. But Eric had the client for 30 minutes and I had her for 8 hours. So it's our data is gonna look different. So that's why rate is cool because it allows us to take that observation period and kind of get like a percentage. So
Nagat, what do you think?
Nagat?
Nagat, but is she off?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh, okay. I thought she wanted to say something then.
Okay, so let's see. Allows us to directly compare behavior when the observation period might vary in length. Woohoo! All right. The onset to start recording the length of time a behavior takes, specifically crying with or without tears for longer than 10 seconds. The offset is described as the total absence of crying with or without tears for at least 10 seconds. What type of data collection does this most likely describe? So remember we talked about which one has that onset offset. It tells us what time to start taking the data, what time to stop taking the data. So which one do you guys think? Partial time sample, frequency, duration, or intensity? So in your operational definition, it'll say you will start to record the behavior if she has engaged in crying with or without tears for at least 10 seconds. And then you will stop collecting the data in the absence of the behavior for at least 10 seconds.
The duration?
Yes, perfect. So that's the only one that's really tracking time. Partial time sample, that one is a discontinuous measurement. That one really doesn't have anything to do with onset offset. Frequency is just taking a tally. Duration is the only one that's really taking time. So duration wants to tell us how long something happens, but we have to know the onset offset. So your operational definition has to give you that onset offset. Intensity is just how intense the behavior is, and that really has no onset offset. So you're right. Duration. Woohoo! Reading graphs.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you got one. Reading graphs. So let's see if we know how to read a graph. Remember we talked about ascending and descending. Which of the following graphs most clearly demonstrates an accelerating trend? So on this one, we have baseline. So we took a baseline and he displayed the behavior up here. And then we started our intervention and then his behavior started going like this. Over here, we took a baseline, behaviors here, and then it goes like boom, 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 and then all over the place. And then on this graph, it's going like this. And then this graph is just all over the place. So which one is showing an accelerating trend?
It seems like it'd be 3, but is that too easy? Because accelerate means going
That's what I
up.
was thinking.
Well, but
Like,
the thing
so
is
is it a
that
trick
it does,
question?
no, it doesn't have to be too hard. Like some questions are just like that.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that's good. You guys got it. Accelerating, ascending, same thing. So it's going up. All the other ones, this one's going down. This one goes up and then down and then straight. This one's variable, so it goes like up, down, bounds all over the place. This one's the only one that's consistently showing an ascending trend.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, you guys know this one. What does onset refer to? The beginning of an event in time, the end of an event in time, to counteract something by physical force to bring it back into line, the amount or distance by which something is out of line.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah, I want to say it.
Yeah, so remember the onset is when do we start the timer, offset, when do we stop the timer? Perfect. When we refer to validity of measurement systems, we are referring to what? Oh, I didn't really go over validity, so we'll see if we can get this one. Data that are important to the consumer being assisted. Data are directly related to the behavior being measured and the reasons for measuring it. Data that meets the 7 dimensions of ABA as described by Bayer, Wolf, and Risley, 1968. Data that will advance scientists' knowledge in the field of applied behavior analysis.
I was thinking C.
I was thinking D. Only because I don't know what the period is actually.
Or if not, if not C, I was gonna go with the obvious one, B.
Yes, let's look at the hint.
Okay, I was just gonna say, okay.
Data is considered valid. So in ABA, we're all about determining whether our intervention is indeed making an effect on the dependent variable. So is your IV really making an impact on the DV? And if so, then you are successful with your intervention. So we're trying to find some type of functional relation and saying, okay, let's read what it says. Data are considered valid when the data are directly related to the phenomenon being studied and the reason for recording those data in the first place. So I believe that B is correct. For example, was a relevant dimension of the behavior selected for data collection for analysis? For example, if you're working with an individual who frequently elopes into busy intersections, a 99% reduction of elopement might look good on paper, but there's still a chance of the individual being struck by a car. However, if you were working on improving an individual's ability to stay on task during math class, a 99 increase would be substantial. The difference is usually described as social validity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, let's submit. All right, next one. What, do you want to read it, Eric?
Okay, what type of data collection does this describe? Samantha collected the total number of time Edward slapped the table and said, well, how about that during Thanksgiving dinner? So we have momentary time sampling, total count, duration, and frequency. Now let's look at the question very diligently. It's collected the total number of time Edward slapped the table. Sometimes they add so many words, but you just need to be able to like figure out what they're asking.
It's the total count. Because it's the total number of times that he's doing it during the dinner, right?
Yeah, Samantha collected the total number of time Edward slapped the table.
So is it total count or frequency? Okay.
Celine, what?
What?
You need to allow everybody like talk and.
Oh, I should have let Avia answer.
Yeah, then we have Fatima online. Maybe she has something she needs to explain.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I just wanted I wanted it to give me the definition of total count. That's why.
Yeah, that's when we'll finish, then we'll do that.
You tell me what total count is. Define total count.
For me?
No, Eric.
Okay.
Definition of total count.
Uh-huh.
That's the total number of how do I want to define? Total number of the data you're taking.
Oh, so is it like, okay, you take a frequency and then you count it at the end. Is that what it is?
Total number of the data. Like now they're talking about, here they're talking about frequency because it's just saying how many times it happens.
Yeah, so just whenever you're answering the questions, just think about the continuous data collection methods that we talked about. So it was rate, frequency, duration, latency, and IRT. So total count is not one of them. I want a better definition for total count. I'll get back to you guys on total count.
Let me see if I can pull that a very simple one up.
I want a better definition. Maybe Cooper will tell me. Total count is IOA.
That's on total number. That's what, you know, we did that. That's the total number of this thing taken.
Total count is talking about IOA.
Where
So
you count the whole up, the whole bottom, then you divide the small one by the big one.
Yeah, so that's different. That's talking about IOA. So for data collection methods, as far as continuous, we have rate, duration, frequency, IRT, and latency. So then you would take out the total count, take out the momentary, and then it leaves you with these two, frequency and duration. So the answer would be, let's erase the hand.
Frequency.
Frequency.
You already opened it.
Okay, number 9. What does reliability of measurement system refer to? The extent to which a measurement system yields the same value upon repeated tests. The extent to which a measurement system reflects the true value of an observed phenomenon. The extent to which a measurement system produces a correct value consistently. The accuracy or correctness of a measurement. So we didn't really review that one. So let's see if we can use our process of elimination to get that one.
So the extent to which a measurement system yields the same value upon repeated, that would be repeatability. That's not reliability. The extent to which a measurement system reflects the true value of an observed phenomenon. Yeah, that would be reliable. The extent to which a measurement system produces a correct value. That would be also, I think that would be repeatability too. So I think it's going to be B. I think it's going to be B. The extent to which a system measures reflect the value of an observed phenomenon. The true value of an observed.
Mm, I'm stuck in between C and D. Because I'm looking at both closely. I'm like, it's one or the other. Well, reliability, I'm leaning more towards.
So for me, the way I look at it is like you give me a phone number and I ask you, is this phone number reliable?
Mhm.
Like, can I really call this number and get the person that is on the other side, the person I really want to get? You understand? So I'm taking the real value, like I'm taking the data about coughing. Like, okay, they say take a data on jumping and I'm not taking the data on running. So if I'm taking the data on running, that means my data is going to be reliable.
So then I'll probably lean towards D if that's the case.
The accuracy or correctness. I like that one too. The definition from Cooper, reliability is the extent to which a measurement is consistent and repeatable. So repeatability is reliability.
Mm.
So now I feel like it's A.
Oh.
What, should we just try?
Yeah, let's give it. No. Just put the hint on. Let's see.
Oh,
what it
I
is.
thought you guys wanted to just go for it and
No.
do whatever.
No, we're all learning.
Reliability refers to the extent at which a measure produces the same value upon repeated testing. For example, if you use a thermometer to measure a child's temperature, a reliable thermometer would produce the same measurement every time. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the measure is correct. The thermometer could, for example, reliably say 100 degrees Fahrenheit, when in reality, the child has normal temperature. That may be great for a kid looking for an excuse to skip math class, but not so great for a school nurse whose thermometer is not able to identify the true value for the child's temperature. So it doesn't have to be accurate. It just has to repeatedly score the same measurement.
The same value upon repeated test.
I think A. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think A too. A sounds better than B.
Ooh, I thought we were gonna get it wrong. That would have been bad.
That's one thing I really need to work on, like the reliability, validity, and the third one.
Yeah, so validity, that's the one where it's showing functional relation, right? That one's the one that says you have established the control. You've established the functional relation. Reliability is it's scoring the same score over and over. Even if it's the wrong score, it's still saying the same number each time. Accuracy is that it is correctly measures the true value. It hits it right on the dart. So whenever I think about accuracy, I think about a dart board. It's like, is it gonna hit right on the dart? Yes or no? Then that's accurate. It's 100% to the true value.
That makes sense.
What type of data collection does this describe? Sarah collected the duration of time it took her father to finish doing the dishes after dinner, measuring from the onset of washing, putting on the soap on the first dish, till the offset of washing, drying, and putting away the last dish. Sarah should have helped her father do the dishes, by the way. Okay. Is this momentary time sample, time length, duration, or frequency? So remember, think about your measurements of data collection in ABA, and then they like to throw in random stuff that is irrelevant, like Sarah should have helped her father do the dishes. Who cares? We just want to know what type of data collection method she's using, right? Select the best answer. Is it giving us the answer in the question?
That's what I was thinking. I was leaning towards duration just because they said that, and it seemed like it made sense with how the sentence was presented. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
because remember we talked about duration being onset offset, but I'm like, why do they put the answer in the question?
Sarah collected the duration of time it took her father to finish doing the dishes. After dinner, measuring from the onset of the washing, which is duration, till the offset of the washing, which is drying. Sarah should have helped her father do the dishes, by the way. So what was the question?
It doesn't, oh, what type of data collection does this describe?
Yeah, but
I'm gonna say duration. Sean says duration. What do you got, Avia?
Oh, I'm here. Hold on. From the onset. Oh, I don't know. I would say there, right? Frequency. I don't know. I didn't really get to read the question all the way. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay, what do you think, Eric? Do you want to try duration?
yeah, I think it's duration, but maybe they're just trying to throw you off by putting duration.
I just think it's weird that they put duration in the sentence. Okay, let's do it.
Oh,
That's the last one.
I see what y'all talking about. And then
Woo! We got
Yay!
100.
Yeah,
So
they were
what
just trying to throw
duration?
you off.
Yeah, so remember what I told you guys. Anytime you see onset offset, that's going to be duration because it's
Duration.
telling us what time do we start our timer.
And I thought that too. That's crazy.
What time do we stop our timer? I was just like thrown off because it gave you the answer.
Right. It was probably a mistake.
Okay, let me turn off the recording.